10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
What's going on, YouTube? Happy Saturday to everybody. Hope you guys are able to tune in to hang out with us here for a little bit. Today, we're going to be talking about RDAP and the pre-sentence report and how those two go hand in hand. So I'll give everybody another 30 seconds to join in. Mike, thanks, man. You know, I put that timer up there trying to give people a little bit of a heads up that the video is going live for those of you that have not sent the word YouTube to 35074. That puts you on a notification list letting you know prior to the live stream starting. So if you haven't already done so, all you need to do is text the word YouTube to 35074, and that will put yourself on a notification list of upcoming videos. Also, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do so now. The channel's growing day by day thanks to all of you. And actually, I got the idea for the countdown clock from After Prison Show. I saw Joe doing it on one of his live streams, and it took me a minute to figure out how to do it, but where there's a will, there's a way, so we figured it out. Thanks, Ronnie, 5151, appreciate it. So let's kind of jump into this topic. Lately, I've got a few clients that all seem like they're getting ready to go through their pre-sentence report, the interview process, and they all want to make sure that they're prepared for that. So I thought, why not do a video specifically on this today to get those of you that are getting ready to go into this interview process with U.S. probation. I know a lot of you are concerned that you might make a mistake and say the wrong thing and disqualify yourself from the Residential Drug Addiction Program, RDAP, which can ultimately reduce your sentence by up to 12 months if you enter into the program with enough time remaining on your sentence. So let's talk about that a little bit. When you're preparing for your pre-sentence report, you don't just want to start preparing the day before. One of the biggest things that you're going to want to have ready for your pre-sentence report is your personal narrative. This is the letter that you're going to be giving to the judge at some point. Now, a lot of you may have heard from your attorney, or maybe you haven't heard, that they're going to tell you that the personal narrative is not necessarily that important. Almost to the point where they're not going to give you any direction. They're not really going to tell you what should go in it, what should stay out of it. They're going to give you some real basic templates, probably something they pulled off of the internet, which is more than likely going to be coming from somebody that has really no idea as how they should be interacting at this point in their situation. A lot of these templates that you find online for personal narratives and character reference letters, these are written by people that just are creative writers. They've never actually, most of them don't have any experience in the system. They're writing letters for judges. They're writing letters for jobs. They're just writing general letters to give somebody an idea of how to address somebody. The only useful thing you're going to find from most of these templates that you find online is the format, the template. How do you address the judge? Where does it, basic stuff that's not going to give you any insight to how you should be explaining your story to the judge. A personal narrative, if it's done right and it's done at the right time, can have impact all the way from your U.S. probation interview for your PSR all the way through to what type of sentence you might end up getting imposed on. Why does this matter? The personal narrative it's going to show the background. It's going to explain who you are, why you did what you did, how you're identifying your victims, how you're identifying the crime that you did and taking full responsibility. All of this sounds really easy, but when you read these letters from a lot of clients that have submitted letters to us, a lot of these letters go almost into victim mode, where they're blaming it on circumstances, they're blaming it on upbringing, and they're putting a lot of light on how much they do in the community, what a good guy or what a good woman they are. They're very active in their church. They're great parents. They help the elderly. If you don't understand the direction that these personal narratives need to go in, the personal narratives do not serve the purpose that they're meant to be served. That's why we harp on this so much. Almost every video we talk about personal narrative and character reference letters. And a perfect example, a client of ours, Jay Hugasan, if he's not in the room, he'll probably be in here shortly. He just posted a video on YouTube. I'll post a link in the description when this video is done that you guys can check out. He's a client that has been with me now for, I would say probably going on about 6 months. Yesterday was his sentence. So he went to get sentenced yesterday. Now, Jay was being charged with manufacturing, I believe he was manufacturing, basically making pain pills, or if he's in the room, he'll explain it more, but he was actually producing pills. He had a pill press. Now, it got a little bit overplayed for what he was actually doing, but he did have this information. He did basically what they said that he did. To the extreme, probably not. So he was looking at getting sentenced to 33 months. That's the sentence that he thought he was going to receive yesterday. His big question going into yesterday was, are they going to allow him to self-surrender? So now Jay has been putting in work and effort. He's been maintaining a job, and he's been working a lot of hours with his job. He's been putting in community service when he can. He's built a strong mentor network, including myself. He has amazing personal narrative and character reference letters that we've been working on him with now. We've been working with him for the several months on creating these letters on his character references and his personal narratives. Yesterday, during his sentencing, the prosecution was hell-bent on him getting 33 months. The judge told the prosecutor, there's no way I see how 33 months is going to benefit this man when he's taking his NA classes serious. He's in drug rehab right now to show that he's making an attempt to undo the wrongs that he did by making positive choices. His personal narratives and his character reference letters stood out. He had family there supporting everything that he's done from the time of his arrest up until this point has been action-based and positive thinking moving forward. Has it been rough? Yeah, there's been a lot of stress in Jay's life because he's been thinking about how much time he's potentially going to get and stay away from home. The judge refused to impose a sentence yesterday and got to a point where they were arguing with the prosecutor, where the judge and prosecutor were going back and forth. Ultimately, it ended up with the judge saying, you know what, we're going to postpone this for at least 60 days. I need to go do my own research on how prison is going to benefit somebody with an opiate addiction. Now, there is RDAP, the Residential Drug Addiction Program, but if Jay is already enrolled in a lot of these programs willingly, taking it serious, putting this information into his personal narratives and character reference letters, the judge is very likely to come back in 60 days and go with his initial thought of probation. That's where the judge wants to land right now. The judge wants to give him probation. Prosecutors do not want him to get probation, so they're fighting it tooth and nail. This is going to be the second case that this has happened with. Will, our other client, who also received probation on a sentence where he was sure to get prison time. And people ask, well, how are these guys getting probation? I thought everybody loses in the feds. It's like, okay, you're taking a plea, you're admitting guilt, yes, so you are losing, you're getting found guilty of this felony. However, when you just lay down, roll over, and give up, this is when the worse things start to unravel and roll out in front of you because you're not doing anything to mitigate the circumstances. When you take a stance and you start focusing on what you have control over, you have control over waking up every day. You have control over what type of attitude you're going to carry out through the day. You have control over what you're going to do with that day. Are you going to choose to sit there and sulk and complain and cry and feel sorry for yourself? Or are you going to choose to get up, go to work, go to AA, go to NA, do community service, be a part of your community, build a strong mentor network that you're going to be reporting to weekly? These are the things that we work with our clients, and this is what makes a difference in the end. I just made a video today that I just finished. It's almost finished editing. It's rendering. We're going to post it up here in a little bit. And it's basically, if you're out there right now and you think you might be going to federal prison or you might be getting indicted and you just realize you're going to start getting wrapped up in this system and you're at a point where you realize that you might want to consider hiring a prison consultant, there's definitely questions that you should be asking a prison consultant to make sure they're going to be a good fit for you. Unfortunately, there's a lot of prison consultants out there. If you go on Google and type in prison consulting, you're going to see all the paid ads from all these different guys out there. the one common thing that you're going to find amongst them is most of them are going to be charging you somewhere between $3,500 and $15,000. Now, you need to start asking them, what services are they going to be attempting to perform for you? And the other crazy thing that you're going to find is most of them are doing very little. They're giving you some basic insight on what you need to do to get into the residential drug addiction program. Now, granted, that is a big deal. We all need to know how to get into the drug RDAP, but that information can be explained in 30 seconds. You have to qualify for it based on your crime. If you have a violent crime, you're disqualified. If you have a sexual hands-on child crime, you're disqualified. If you're not going to be sentenced to enough time, you're not going to have enough time to take the program. So the basic necessities to get into the program: nonviolent crime. It can be a drug offense, doesn't have to be a drug offense crime, that doesn't matter. Nonviolent crime, be sentenced to more than 24 months. And in your pre-sentence report, your PSR, during the PSR interview with the U.S. probation officer, it needs to be explained during that interview process that you have substance abuse, whether it be drinking, smoking marijuana, hardcore drugs, painkillers, whatever your substance abuse issue is, needs to be identified, and the time frame that you need to explain the substance abuse needs to be within 12 months prior to your indictment. So if you're arrested today, anything you do after today doesn't really make a difference as far as your substance abuse. What happened prior to today and a year back is the window that the U.S. probation officer is going to be looking for. Now, they're not going to tell you this. They're not going to say, hey, this is the window. Did you use drugs heavily during this period of time? They're not going to spell it out for you. At least most U.S. probation officers will not spell that out for you. So knowing that, going into that situation, that right there is going to likely prepare you to qualify for the residential drug addiction program as long as you are sentenced to enough time to benefit from the program. You need to be sentenced to at least 24 months or more to qualify for the program. 24 months gets you 6 months off of the program. 37 months or more gets you 12 months off of the program. That means you need to actually enter into RDAP with that much time left on your sentence. So if you're sentenced to 37 months, but it takes you 3 or 4 months to get in the program, now you're only going to be looking at the 6 to 9 months off of the program. If you're sentenced to 24 months and it takes you 3 or 4 months to enter into the program, you may not qualify for any time off at all. These are factors and considerations you have to think about now, strategically placing and talking to your attorney about what type of sentence that you maybe ask your attorney to give you a couple of extra months. When you guys are working on your self-surrender date, once you know which prison you're going to, like right now I've got a viewer that's going to be going to Sheridan. He's going to be self-surrendering on Monday, and he was sentenced to, I think he was sentenced right at the cusp. It was either 36 or 37 months. Now his worry is when does the next RDAP class start? RDAP classes do not start every day in federal prison. These classes can take anywhere from 30, 60, 90 days from the time of the last class starting. So we're trying to find out for him. I've got a couple of people that are over at Sheridan right now. I sent an email to one of the clients at Sheridan to find out when the next class starts. These are the type of things you need to start focusing on, because once you know where you're surrendering to, and you have your surrender date, you can now start to find out through resources, whether it be me, calling the prison directly, if that will work. In a lot of cases, the prison won't give you that information, but if you reach out to me, chances are I have either a client or a viewer that is at the likely prison that you're going to be going to. We can reach out to them, find out when the next class starts. Let's say the next class doesn't start for 3 months. He's going to be getting there Monday. What he would have wanted to have done is now have his attorney reach out to the judge and the prosecutor and ask for an extension to self-surrender so he can take advantage of the drug abuse program to get the help that he needs. It is not unheard of for those of you that have been going through this system to get extensions on your surrender dates. You just need, for the most part, a valid reason. And I would think it is a valid reason if you are trying to get substance abuse help and you're going to miss the cutoff. If you get there now because the class doesn't start for 3 months and that doesn't leave enough time on your sentence, now you're off. You're geared off a little bit. These are things that we can assist you with, that we can help you with. We've got clients that are going to Lompoc camp thinking they're going to be able to go into RDAP. And yes, they probably will, but you're not going to be doing RDAP at Lompoc if you're going to the camp. Lompoc is going to transfer you to Sheridan in order for you to take RDAP. Now, that doesn't happen overnight. You're not going to get to Lompoc today and get transferred to Sheridan tomorrow. That process has to get put in. It's got to get approved. Then they have to schedule transfers. All of these things takes weeks, if not months. So again, if you have a short sentence and you need to get into RDAP right away and you're going to the wrong prison, you need to take that into consideration now and try to get redesignated before you actually leave, to redesignate where you're self-surrendering to, or else these are things that are going to prevent you from taking advantage of the program. If your prison consultant that you're talking to or thinking about hiring isn't well-versed in this type of situations, you may not be getting what you pay for. And when we hear about all these horror stories with prison consultants and why attorneys don't like them, it's simple. There's a lot of prison consultants out there that charge a lot of money, which isn't the problem. Charging a lot of money is not necessarily the problem. The problem is when you're only offering some basic information that for the most part you can get from any one of the videos that I have out of here for free. Why would you hire a prison consultant if that's all you're going to get for it? The other benefit that you want to look for is, what if you do not have the right information in your pre-sentence report? Let's say you're finding these videos or you find out more detail about RDAP after your pre-sentence report, after it's already been done and the window of opportunity to go in and get it to get it looked at, to have time to be able to redo it, to make changes and modifications for any issues that were wrong with it. You usually have about a week to 2 weeks to make these changes once you get it back to review it. If you're past that window of opportunity, now what do? Well, rdapdan's got you covered on that side too. So we have a client by the name of Troy Sissom, and we talked about him a little bit more extensively in the video that I'm going to be posting after this live show. The video will either be up tonight or tomorrow morning. Troy Sissom was a client of ours that already had his pre-sentence report done. His pre-sentence report was done when he came to us. The only thing we were able to help him with initially was personal narratives and character reference letters to try to convey to the judge the type of person he was, to give the judge the opportunity to possibly reduce his sentence. So Troy got into prison. Troy applied for RDAP. He was denied for RDAP because he didn't have the information in his pre-sentence report. His wife reached out to me, Jenny, and asked if there's anything that we can do. We told her the only thing that can happen right now is we have to convince Grand Prairie, Texas, and the RDAP coordinator at the actual prison that Troy's PSR was not complete due to the fact that Troy clammed up during the PSR interview, thinking if he was completely honest that it was going to prevent him from taking advantage of the program. So what we decided to do was take on some assistance of a chemical dependency professional out of Delray Beach, Florida. And this gentleman has years and years of experience. We were able to take him on to help with the client. And what he did was he sent the client an evaluation in prison. Client filled everything out, went through his substance abuse, when it started, when it ended, just everything, anything and everything from A to Z. Interviewed the client. I can't remember if it was over the phone or through core links, through email system. Interviewed with the client, created an evaluation that was sent in to Grand Prairie and also sent into the RDAP coordinator, and the decision was overturned, and the client has now been accepted into the residential drug addiction program. These are the extras, the steps above and beyond that we here at Federal Prison Time Consulting LLC want to make sure that every client has the ability to take advantage of this. When you're talking to these other prison consultants that are charging fees, $10,000, $15,000, you have to ask yourself, why are they charging this much money? It's simple, because the average prison consultant is focusing only on high-end white-collar criminals. And the reason why they're focusing, or let's call it preying, the reason why they're preying on white-collar criminals is because the average white-collar criminal is spending big dollars on their legal defense. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars on their legal defense, on their attorneys. When a prison consultant gets a hold of them and sends them whatever advertising or posting a video or posting on Google, whatever method they're using to reach out to them, they are now appealing to somebody that has a lot of money and has no problem spending the money to potentially better their situation. And they're charging them astronomical, ridiculous fees, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 for the most part, less service than what we're offering for $1,500. So how are we able, at Federal Prison Time Consulting LLC, how are we able to do all of this for $1,500 when somebody else is charging 10, 15 grand? You can run that question through your mind as many times as you want. And if you are a white collar criminal and you are talking to other prison consultants and you have prices of over $3,500 or more, you need to really take a look at the situation and assess what's going on here. Just because it's worth it and you're spending this kind of money doesn't mean you need to. There's no need to be taken advantage of financially when you just got done spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on a legal defense. Guys, this is why we do this. When you look back to my initial videos, why we started this 2 years ago, it was never intended to become a business. This was intended to put out useful content and information to help people like you, like me, that are all going through this fucked up system. Whether you're a white collar criminal, a nonviolent drug offender, it doesn't matter where you are in the situation, whether you're the broke guy or you're the guy that's got millions of dollars in the bank. The situation is similar. You're terrified, you're going to a camp, you're going to a low security prison, you have no idea what to expect. Your only real resource and reference is what you've seen on TV, which is terrifying. So now you're being quoted these ridiculous prices and you're going to pay it because you're terrified. You have to look at this for what it is. And this is why a lot of attorneys and a lot of other legal entities do not like what prison consulting is doing, because the way they're viewing it is ex-cons finding a new way to con somebody else. So you've got these guys that were these white-collar con men prior to going into prison, getting out of prison, cannot continue in their actual career that they were in for the most part, where they were able to make, high six figures, millions of dollars a year, whatever it is. So now they found a way to continue to make the same type of money, taking advantage and preying on people that are getting ready to go to prison. We have come in here and completely changed the way the game needs to work. Whether you're a blue-collar criminal or a white-collar criminal, the fears are the same. The anxiety is the same. Don't be fooled by some clever sales pitch telling you that we specialize and we cater to white-collar criminals, because there is no difference. What we do, helping you with your personal narratives, your character reference letters, your mentor groups, making sure that when you're riddled with anxiety, you have somebody to speak to on the phone, making sure that you have the ability to qualify for the residential drug addiction program, making sure you're going to stand the best chance possible to get additional halfway house, finding issues within the pre-sentence report that can be mitigated, information you can relay to your attorney. We've had clients get probation. We've had clients get reduced sentences. We've had clients have their cases completely thrown out. We've had clients that were denied for RDAP once they got to prison, that was overturned and accepted into the residential drug addiction program. This isn't by luck. This is from hard work. This is from effort. This is from doing research. And this is from putting a team together here at Federal Prison Time. Everybody on our team has a common goal, and it's to make sure people are getting what they pay for. But we're not casting this net that is only going to allow people that can afford $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. That is blocking out so many people that are riddled with anxiety. I spoke to a client yesterday who signed up with us a couple of months ago, called me up just to say thank you. We haven't even finished. All we've done is his letters so far. He hasn't been sentenced, nothing yet, but he called me to say thank you because of the videos, the information, the content that we continue to put out. He told me prior to this, because he's looking at about 17 years potentially, prior to this, his fear and thought and idea of what prison was going to be like was seriously causing him to think about committing suicide. If these videos and our services can help somebody change that view and outlook on where they're getting ready to possibly go, guys, what we're doing is the best thing in the world that I could imagine ever doing. And for doing this for $1,500, we have a great team of people that all care. And we just added people to that team last week. This team is growing. So just keep that in mind. If we can do it for $1,500 and somebody else is charging you $15,000, what is the difference? Are you that gullible that you're buying a fancy sales pitch, a fancy website, a guy in a shirt and tie that's coming off looking like a lawyer? Or are you looking for somebody that's going to get you fucking results? We care about what happens to our clients. The best time a client can employ us is prior to their pre-sentence report, because that gives us the best ability to come in, do exactly what needs to be done. When you come to us after your pre-sentence report, you're now taking away options that may have been on the table that are no longer there, because we don't know what you did with your pre-sentence report. We don't know what's in your personal narratives and character reference letters if you've already submitted this stuff to the judge. When you're watching these videos, and if you're early on in your case and you're not sure which direction it's going to go, same reason why you buy insurance for your car, same reason why you buy insurance for yourself. You hope to God you never have to use it. But if you do, you're going to be very thankful that you have it. And we are not going to break your bank allowing you to take advantage of the services that we have to offer. So, guys, it's super important to take this serious, to prepare for what you're getting ready to go through. That pre-sentence report and that PSR interview, that interview is extremely important, but you do not need to overthink it. You just need to be prepared for it. Being prepared for that interview, knowing what to say, telling your attorney that you want him there with you. I don't know how, but so many times we talk to clients that say they went and did their PSR interview with probation and their attorney was not present. You want to make sure you explain to your attorney what you want to be in that pre-sentence report. You want to explain to your attorney your background. You want to explain to U.S. probation during this interview your background, your upbringing, why you committed the crime that you committed, what your state of mind was, what your involvement with drugs was. Do not minimize your involvement with drugs and alcohol, whether it be prescription pills that you're supposed to be taking, illicit drugs that you're not supposed to be taking, or indulging in alcohol. I spoke to another client today, same client that I told you earlier, self-surrendering to Sheridan. He's concerned because he didn't really explain his alcohol use, because he said, well, I'm an Italian and we drink wine. Wine to us is just food. So when they asked me if I had a drinking problem, to me, I drink wine all the time. I didn't think of it at the time. These are the type of scenarios you need to run through your mind. Don't just assume that when someone says, do you have a substance abuse problem? Don't just assume that you don't, because you don't consider it substance abuse. That is completely subjective to whoever you're asking. Somebody that drinks once a week versus somebody that drinks every day can look at each other completely different, even though they might feel exactly the same. So guys, the benefit that you can have with a prison consultant and a halfway decent attorney can be a dream team to get you the results that you're looking for. So when you're talking about spending $1,500 for a prison consultant, when you know what the cost for a federal defense costs, even if you were federally appointed an attorney, so you've got a free attorney, $1,500 is going to put that attorney on steroids, because it's going to generate questions and concerns that we are going to convey to you that you're going to be able to ask your attorney. You might see your attorney getting frustrated. You might see your attorney get a little razzled. You might see him getting to the point where you feel like you're bothering him. But this is your life. You are the one that might be looking at a prison sentence, not me, not your attorney. So it is your job to push the envelope. If you think you're going to be able to lay back and not do anything, then you're going to be extremely disappointed in the final outcome. How many of you have hired your attorney and feel like you're not getting what you paid for? A lot of you right now are probably all raising your hand. And that's because you hired your attorney with the impression in your mind that he's going to be this amazing guy coming in on a big giant white horse to save the day, to make it all better. When really, what the average attorney is going to do is take the plea from prosecutors and explain it to you in a way where he's almost selling you and pitching you on why you need to take this. When you start asking about, well, what can we do? What about this part of it? What about my personal narrative? What about my character reference? How do I get into RDAP? When you start getting the, I don't know, or go online, or, oh, we'll worry about that later, or that's not that big of a deal, that's not that important, you're going to hear that from your attorneys, and you're going to be like, what the fuck? This is not what I thought I was paying for, especially if you paid for your attorney. We are going to help you mitigate your own circumstance better than what you're going to do by yourself, for the simple fact that we've been through it, and we've got a team of amazing people that work with us, from chemical dependency professionals. We've got attorneys that we can reference to for legal questions that actually refer us clients, because they realize a lot of the stuff that we focus on is way outside of the realm of what their normal day-to-day focus is on. When an attorney can admit that, when an attorney can say, look, I don't spend a lot of time focusing on personal narratives and character reference letters. I don't spend a lot of time on the ins and outs of RDAP. I don't spend a lot of time on the ins and outs and what the difference between a camp, low, and a medium is. When you have an attorney that can honestly say that to you up front and say, you should be talking to a prison consultant, you have found somebody that is willing to be honest with you and not just blanket it by saying that shit doesn't matter. Because it does matter. We see it every single day. We've got clients that are being sentenced every week, and we're seeing the results. The results are in, and the results are good, and it is making this a very easy service to promote. This isn't one of those services where it works 10% of the time. This is a service that can benefit clients 90% of the time. Ultimately, we have no control over what the judge is going to do, what the sentence is going to be imposed, what Grand Prairie and the BOP is going to finally decide on, but we can sure stack the cards, put as much in your favor as possible to create really good odds for our clients. That's why we make these videos. That's why we reach out to you guys. That's why my phone number is posted on this screen. That's why you've got my email address. I try to make myself completely available to anybody and everybody that wants help, not just somebody that can afford $10,000 or $15,000. Everybody should be reaching out to me regardless of your financial situation. If you ultimately want help, we give the results to anybody and everybody regardless of their financial situation. Well, guys, that's about all I got for this video. I really wanted just to make this kind of short and sweet and really explain to you guys, because there's just a lot of wolves out there in sheep's clothing that are taking advantage of people financially and possibly not following through with what you think you're going to be getting. And that can happen from an attorney or a prison consultant. So the best way you can set yourself up and prepare is knowing. What do they remember? G.I. Joe? And now you know, knowing is half the battle. If you know what questions and you know what you should be expecting from a prison consultant, it's going to increase your chances of hiring somebody that can actually help you. If you hire somebody that doesn't do anything for you and you didn't do any research, that's kind of on you. When you go hire an attorney and you think he's going to do all these amazing abilities and he's going to get you, somehow you ultimately think you're going to get off of this somehow, and you don't, that falls on you because you're not doing actual research. You're looking at, okay, this attorney's been around forever. This attorney used to be a U.S. prosecutor. It doesn't really mean anything. At the end of the day, their job is to get you to accept a plea unless you're planning on going to trial, which we all see what happens when most people go to trial in the federal system. That usually ends in a big giant loss for the client with additional time added on, which is fucked up in itself, that the feds use that. If you take a plea, we give you less time. If you want to fight it, we're going to slaughter you. So they use that blackmail system, and it is what it is. We can't really focus on things that are outside of our control, and that is definitely something outside of our control. What's inside of our control is how we wake up, what we decide to do with our day, what we're willing to do to prepare, what we're willing to do to educate ourselves, and what we're willing to do until the very end. Action-based progress. That will solve 99% of your problems going forward. You carry this mentality through prison, you get released from prison, you go through the federal halfway house, you go through your probation. If you keep that mentality that there's going to be hurdles, there's going to be roadblocks, and you're going to find ways to overcome them because you're not taking no for an answer, and you're not going to allow this circumstance that's happened to you to define the rest of your life. Once you make that decision, you hold on to it, everything else will fall into place. I promise. I was once in your situation and I thought my life was over. I thought federal prison was going to devour me, and I thought I was never going to be the same again. Federal prison has improved my quality of life. Federal prison has improved my relationships. Federal prison has improved everything about me, including giving me something to give back to everybody else that gives me nothing but joy. I love what I do. I love every single one of you guys. Federal Prison Time with RDAPdan is here to stay. I'm going to read some comments here. Oh, there's Jay. So we got Jay in the room right now. Here's a client of mine, and that's the other thing. I get emails from time to time. We think the shit you're saying is bullshit. We think you're making up fake clients, that you're making up fake results. Guys, I can tell you, people go to prison for making up fake referrals. If you're posting stuff or you're talking about, if I'm saying, oh, we did this and we did that and we didn't do it, that's misleading and taking advantage of somebody else. Everything that we say, we can back up. Now, granted, sometimes there will be stories that I tell you about clients that do not want to relay their identity, but most of these clients will allow you to reach out to them directly. They just don't want me posting their information public on the internet. So if you've got any questions about any clients that I've referenced, getting probation, that thought they were getting jail time for sure, you got one of them in the room right now who's more than likely going to end up with a, if not probation, a highly reduced sentence. We've got clients that got into RDAP that weren't supposed to get into RDAP. We can verify every single thing that we say. You just got to email me and ask me, and I will give you a client referral list that will speak volumes on what we can do. Mike K. I would rather not pay for you to stay in prison for 33 months. There you go. See, Mike doesn't want to pay for somebody to stay in prison for 33 months. That's the other side of it, is the public. The public feels like, fuck, we're spending all this money to put somebody in this cushy federal prison. Trust me, I agree with you 100%. And that's what I try to explain to people, that federal prison is nothing to stress about, but it is a big waste of time because you're not really... You're there, you can't see your friends and family, you're doing prison time, you miss them, but life is not rough. You've got sports, you've got decent food, you've got classes, you've got all these things with nothing but time. So it's like almost like a vacation missing your family. So I agree with Mike. Nobody wants to pay for somebody to go spend 33 months in prison when it's not really going to benefit them. It's not going to teach them a lesson. It's not taking somebody dangerous off of the street. By putting Jay in prison for 33 months is not making the rest of you safe. It's not making me any safer. I'm not going to sleep better at night going, thank God this guy is in prison. Because if he wasn't in prison, I don't know what I would do with myself. So, good comment, Mike. Mr. Merrick, love your videos, Dan. Keep up the amazing work. Thanks, my man. I appreciate it. Those of you that are visiting from After Prison Show, I appreciate it. I know my content's not as entertaining, but it's meant for a different audience. But we do have some entertaining videos coming your way soon. I still got to edit the cheesecake video. It's just a lot of footage. I got like 40 different shots, so there's a lot of editing going into that. Mike, you're hilarious. What's up, Miss Dutchie? Hello. Well, guys, I'm going to wrap this video up. I'm going to let you guys go enjoy your Saturday. Go do something with your family. Share my videos, subscribe, all that good stuff. I don't need to say it. You guys already know I want you to do that. If you haven't already, text the word YouTube to 35074. Now is a great time to do that. That will put you on a notification list. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you have any videos that you would like to see me do a topic on, let me know. Post it in the comments, and I will see you guys soon. I'm rdapdan. I love every single one of you. People helping people. Community is method. One day at a time. All right, guys. Peace out.